how to fire an early startup employee without tears. Hi there, I'm Lisa Stam, one of the employment lawyers at the Canadian virtual law firm Spring Law. We often get asked from our startup and tech clients how to fire someone without breaking the bank or plowing through all of your early funding. Sometimes the people you start to scale with are not the right people that you need to continue to scale with. So yes, some terminations are tough and are a reality early on in your startup. Here are our top 5 tips for terminating without tears in your startup. Number 5, sleep on it first. Don't do anything rash. Can you switch up tasks for this person? Can you maybe add in some affordable training to help the person scale with your business? Is there something your business should actually get better at in the first place? It never hurts to have a bit of self-awareness, both as a business, but also as a leader in your startup as you grow. Number 4, plan ahead with timing. Is it the employee's birthday, the day that you're deciding to terminate them? Is there maybe a vesting cliff with the equity coming up that they're going to be shortcutted on? Do they have some big vacation plans coming up or a big purchase? It's never a perfect time, but some thoughtfulness around the basic timing can really help and make a difference between a decent termination and you being a great big jerk about it and just escalating the emotions on it. Number 3, the termination package. Hopefully you have a solid contract in place with a reasonable and enforceable termination provision. Frankly, the certainty and mutual expectations in a contract are good for both parties and are probably the most effective way to really avoid an expensive and emotional litigation battle if the relationship does go south. If you're a startup, we get it. You probably don't have a contract in place, especially with your the earliest employees that you've started with. If there is no written contract, then you'll have an implied contract at law in Canada, and so you'll still need to think through a reasonable termination package for the employee. We don't have at will in Canada, unlike the US, and so you always have to give some sort of notice or pay in lieu of notice if you're firing the person without cause. In Canada, it is very, very hard to terminate with cause, and so almost always there's some sort of termination package that you need to put on the table. Number 2, the termination letter and release. Once you've decided on the actual termination offer, you'll want to reduce it to writing and give that paperwork to the employee at the termination meeting. Do up a clear and neutral termination letter, include a release, and make it a formal process. Even if you're firing your cousin or your best friend from high school, put it on paper and let the paperwork do the talking so there is clarity and certainty around the terms of the termination offer on the table. If you're dealing with a remote worker, that's fine. It's okay to deliver the news in the way that you normally operate the relationship. So a video call, for example, but you still want to provide the termination letter and release, in a PDF that you email out to them. Don't forget that this document is the document that they're going to show their lawyers if they decide to lawyer up. So make it a good one. Remove all the emotional baggage in there and try hard to write something that's reasonable and not hostile. Finally, the last tip we have, script the termination meeting and do it ahead of time. There is likely nothing that you can say or do to make this person feel happy about the termination, and probably nothing that you can do to make it a smooth and polished meeting. But thinking through the script ahead of time can really help you strip out the emotion and help you plan through the steps of what you need to talk about at the meeting. Things like make sure you gather their social media passwords at the meeting or get access to any other digital assets that only they may have. It'll be very hard to gather those things after the fact. To end what will likely be a very awkward meeting, simply stand up when you're done to signal that there's really nothing more to say. Invite the person to review and think about the termination offer over the next few days, and do not let them sign off on anything in that meeting around the offer. You don't want to be accused of pressuring them or them signing under duress. It's okay to sign off on something much lighter, like an acknowledgement that they've received a letter or an acknowledgement that they've returned some equipment in that meeting. But the actual termination offer, let them think about it for a few days. these termination meetings are never easy for anyone. So you're in very good company if the meeting is awkward, if it's hopefully short and sweet, and if it makes everyone's stomach turn just a little bit, that's very normal. It's a hard moment for everybody. So that's it. I hope that these 5 tips are helpful to you. Terminations really are typically the hardest moments in the employment relationship, especially if it's the first couple of terminations for you as a business owner, and especially if it's some of the early people that you really built with and have an emotional connection with. It's not easy. But there are some basic steps that you can do to try and make it a less traumatic experience for everybody, and hopefully save yourself the expensive and emotionally draining litigation battle if the termination goes south. So if you can plan ahead and figure out how to do terminations without too many tears, then it's good for your business and good for the people involved. For more information and resources, please don't hesitate to give us a call for any legal advice on either your legal strategy around terminations or the documents that you know that you need to tee up for it. Or just visit our website at www.springlaw.ca for some more information, including our blog that hopefully has a bunch of tips that are useful for startups and the tech industry generally. Thanks for listening and have a great day.